Or is this full-time MMA now?
I love full-time MMA right now.
Back to the daily grind, and shout out to the full-time patrons. Make sure to hit subscribe if you're new and hit thumbs up if you're not a baby back bagel biting bitch boy, cause you know what time it is. It's full-time
MMA.
Alright, full-time family, here is the Dana White's Tuesday Night Contender Series August 7th episode contract winners, and I completely agree with the three people who won the contract. I enjoyed their fights and finishes the most, not gonna lie. Actually, I enjoyed all of them. We went 5 for 5 as far as finishes are concerned, again on Dana White's Tuesday Night Contender Series. With that being said, one fighter had to be left off, even though he got a second round submission, and that was the first fight of the night. That was more of a come from behind victory, if I'm not mistaken. In that fight, Alex Gilpin was getting clipped up a little bit early in the first round, but he started to find his range at the end of the first round and then was able to actually get an early takedown and find a submission in the second round. But he didn't get his contract tonight. But the other three fighters that did get the contract were Jacob Kilburn, Kennedy Nzechukwu, and also Devontae Smith, who almost reminded me of like the second coming of Felony Charles Bennett. Seemed super entertaining. I mean, was having fun with his haters, was dancing, doing all type of stuff, very explosive, but also seemed like a well-rounded fighter. Maybe he needs to work on his takedown defense a little, but other than that, was very dangerous. The finish he was able to get in the first round when his opponent shot for a takedown, he was able to elbow him whenever he was holding him up against the fence. He elbowed him in the side of the head and knocked him out. So you're gonna definitely have to be careful shooting for takedowns against him if he's against the fence. But he got the contract, and then the first fight of the night, well, it was the second fight of the night, but the first guy to earn the contract was Jacob Kilburn. That was a fun fight because his opponent, I forget his first name, Moffitt, but he came in and he was talking about how, you know, Jacob Kilburn was the least intimidating opponent he's fought to date, and how he already spent his win check on his honeymoon with his wife, so he was already cashing his win check and he hadn't even fought yet. And then Kilburn came out there and just ran through him in the first round. He landed a big right hand, I believe, early in the first, and then he took him down and just controlled him on the mat throughout with multiple submission attempts, transitions, and just won the first round pretty dominantly. And then the second round was a little more of the same. He came out, got an early takedown, and was actually able to get the Darce choke in the second round. So the dude was talking a little trash. He said, like, yeah, down there in Arizona, because Kilburn trains out of the MMA lab and he looked great tonight. But he said down there in Arizona they call him Jacob Kilburn, but where I'm from they call him In Trouble. You know, so he had a hot little line, was counting his money before he even earned it. And with that being said, he got ran through. Maybe he was looking ahead past his opponent a little bit, thinking he was the least intimidating guy he's ever faced, which is interesting because coming into the fight, his opponent actually looked a lot more intimidating and fought a lot better. So interesting fight there, fun fight, and that Jacob Kilburn did earn the contract. And the other two first round KO TKOs that were not in the main event. The main event was Greg Hardy. He didn't earn a contract, but Kennedy Nzechukwu, he earned a contract with that first round head kick KO over, what was his name, Dennis Bryant, the former military Marine veteran who was fighting for his dream. I was really, you know, he's a guy you root for. You know, great story. He was almost emotional telling the story about how he became a fighter. So it's like, you don't want to see him lose. And then it's like for him to just get, you know, I don't want to say fed to Kennedy Nzechukwu because it's MMA, it's anybody's sport. But Nzechukwu, I do believe, was a pretty big favorite coming into this fight. He was like 6'5" light heavyweight. I mean, that's an 83-inch reach. That's pretty crazy, and especially for the UFC, who needs light heavyweight talent, considering that's not their most stacked division. So he got the contract. Congratulations to him. I believe he's now 6-0 as a professional and in the light heavyweight division. I'm looking forward for sure to his UFC debut. He really reminds me of a Francis Ngannou, and not just because he's African, because he's finishing motherfuckers in the first round. He's still a little green maybe as far as, you know, early in his career, but at the same time you're gonna have to be careful because he's definitely got the potential to knock a few dudes out. But there's some questions to be answered. I mean, we still need to see his ground game, his cardio, and all of that, but he's in the UFC in the light heavyweight division, and I wouldn't be surprised if he made a little bit of noise. I mean, a lot of these African fighters, we just had Super Sadiq, who got a win on the last Contender Series episode, I believe. A very impressive fighter coming up. You got Kamaru Usman, Israel Adesanya, Francis Ngannou. I mean, there's an African wave, low-key, of some very talented fighters. And here's another addition. Kennedy Nzechukwu, 6'5", light heavyweight, 83-inch reach. Just got a first-round head kick KO, TKO. So I'm looking forward to his UFC debut. Congratulations to him. And then in the co-main event, we had Devontae Smith, Felony Charles Bennett too. I mean, maybe this guy should change his name to Crazy Horse, since Felony doesn't want that nickname anymore. He should change his name to Crazy Horse Devontae Smith, because Felony wants nothing to do with that nickname. And this guy reminded me so much of Felony. The way he was dancing, the way he was talking on the mic in this interview, super entertaining. He might low-key be a heel. There might be people that don't like this guy, but there's going to be a lot of people that do enjoy him. Definitely an entertainer and a character. So I'm glad he got the contract tonight with the first round KO over his opponent, Joseph Lowry, I believe. So yeah, I also had some pictures. I guess I'll take you guys through the slideshow. I should have did that while I was talking, but hey, it is what it is. You see the Darce choke right there in the second round. That was Kilburn getting the submission over Moffitt. This was actually Kennedy Nzechukwu's first fight on the Contender Series, where he returned. You see the Snoop cast on the bar in the background. You had the Uriah Faber Snoop Dogg. You guys remember the Snoop cast? That was on the first season of the Contender Series. Now on this season of the Contender Series, Nzechukwu returned because maybe he was still a little green last year when he fought, but now they feel like he's ready. Very you know, he's got a lot of promise for sure for the light heavyweight division. So that was his first fight. I believe he got a KO TKO in that fight as well. Here was the kick that ended it. He landed a head kick earlier in the first round on Dennis Bryant, but he had a little bit of time to recover, and then he landed another one shortly after that ended the show after a little bit of ground and pound, not much, a couple hammer fists. So big win for Kennedy Nzechukwu in his return to the Contender Series. And then here was the Devontae Smith elbows against the fence. Here's a screenshot of it. Joe Lowry was shooting for a takedown, and Devontae Smith took over from there with the elbows and knocked him out after about 4 or 5 hard elbows on that takedown attempt. So even if you think he's not the best wrestler, you better be careful and duck your motherfucking taco whenever you're shooting for that takedown, because he's still dangerous against the fence, as we saw tonight. And then he got his hand raised, of course. Very entertaining post-fight speech. He's a character, I'm telling you, man. So I would like to see him in the UFC just because of that. He's gonna make things fun. You might not like him, you might like him. Whether you like him or you don't, you're gonna be watching this kid, Devontae Smith. Now he's a lightweight, very dangerous division in the UFC. So we'll see how far he can go. But either way, we're going to be watching, and I'm going to be riding till the wheels fall off. You know what I'm saying? It might be early, it might be late. He's very dangerous. We'll see what happens. He earned a UFC contract. Congratulations to Devontae Smith. I had a lot of fun watching his performance. And then in the main event, we had Greg Hardy, fucking just looking scary. Even after the knockout, he just stalked his opponent and just started landing bombs after he knocked him clean out against the fence. And his opponent was still trying to recover. You know, the doctors were tending to him, and their teams were already in the ring. Greg Hardy was just fucking mugging this guy still, like a minute later, like, well, just in case the fight was gonna restart or something, like just in case he didn't already get the knockout. And so I was like, damn, bro, you already won. It's cool. Calm down. It reminded me of like Bruce Banner, the Hulk, or some shit. Like his team had to come in and remind him, hey, fight's over. It's okay. So okay, we snap back. You know, it's like once he's fucking snaps into fight mode, good luck getting him the fuck out of there. You know, you need a special lady or something, or well, that maybe not in Greg Hardy's case, but you need somebody or a coach to come in there and snap him back into reality. Like, hey, you ain't gotta kill nobody, brother. So he looked very scary in that sense. And then in the post-fight speech, talked with Laura Senko, and I was thinking, I hope there's fucking armed security right behind them, because what if he fucking snaps? That's a joke. I'm sorry. Comedy. I enjoy comedy. But yeah, so Greg Hardy looked very scary. He didn't earn the contract. He's not going to be immediately fighting in the UFC, but he's in the UFC's developmental program. So we'll see what Dana White has planned for him. But it looks like they're going to get him some more experience before they throw him to the wolves of the UFC. So great episode of Dana White's Tuesday Night Contender Series tonight. With that being said, it is what it is. Let the full-time family know what you think in the comments. And before we go, shout out to all the full-time MMA white belts that have hit the subscribe button. Make sure you also hit the bell right next to it so you get notified every time I upload a new video, or some of the time that I upload a new video, because YouTube's notification bell is a player hater. But this is one of the hardest working independent MMA channels on YouTube. We provide daily updates, full fight card breakdowns and predictions. We make MMA fighter freestyles, and we've already interviewed pro fighters Aljamain Sterling, Sean O'Malley, Felony Charles Bennett, and Bruce Lushmedio in just a little over a year as an MMA channel. We're one of the fastest growing MMA channels on YouTube. So with that being said, if you're interested in more videos like this, check out the Full-Time MMA Dojo over at patreon.com. One of the things you can see while you're over there are some of the goals of the channel, and also more free videos like this, betting advice, and more. We just launched the Full-Time MMA store over on teespring.com, and we've got some limited edition gear in order to celebrate that. We've got some Day One Fook the Other Side shirts that are only available for a limited time. Also, you got leggings, phone cases, Don't Be a Bagel Biter, coffee mugs, and more. With that being said, you can check the links out in the description if you want to check out the Full-Time MMA Dojo or the Full-Time MMA store on Teespring. I apologize about the long outro, but a closed mouth don't get fed, and if I don't plug myself, who will? So respect, let the Full-Time family know what you think in the comments. I'm out.
Da 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 da. It's the motherfucking DOG.